policy economics classes. In previous session, we have started the chapter rural development. There we have learned about what is rural development and what are the factors affecting on the rural development, rural infrastructure development, and the contribution to the GDP from agriculture sector. All these things we have learned in previous session, and in today's session we continue with credit and marketing in rural areas. Credit and marketing in rural area. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಲ ಮತ್ತು ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಕುರಿತಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮೇನ್ಲಿ the growth of the rural economy is dependent on the investment in farming and non-farming activities. If we invest more on the farming and non-farming activities in rural areas, it leads to increase the production of farming and non-farming activities. ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿಯ ಮತ್ತು ಕೃಷಿಯೇತರ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳ ಮೇಲಿನ ಉತ್ಪಾದಕತೆಯನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ತೊಡಗಿಸುವುದು ಬಹಳ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಉದ್ದೇಶಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೃಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳವನ್ನು ತೊಡಗಿಸಲಾಗ್ತದೆ? ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಬೀಜಗಳನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಗೊಬ್ಬರಗಳನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಗೂ ನೀರಾವರಿ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗಾಗಿ, ಕೃಷಿ ಉಪಕರಣಗಳನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಉದ್ದೇಶಗಳಿಗೆ ರೈತ ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾನೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಇತರೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶಗಳಾದಂತಹ ಗೃಹ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆ, ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಉದ್ದೇಶಗಳಿಗಾಗಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ವಿವಾಹ ಮತ್ತಿತರ ಕೌಟುಂಬಿಕ ವೆಚ್ಚಗಳಿಗಾಗಿ ರೈತರು ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಿಯರ್ if you want to know about the history of rural credit before Indian independence, who are giving loans to the farmers or small farmers or poor people? This kind of people are taking loans from local money lenders or from their relatives or from local traders. They are giving loans for these poor people, but the rate of interest will be very high, and also there will be some manipulation of accounts. At the end of the year, loan amount will be doubled. So many farmers and poor people fall into debit trap. This is about before Indian independence. And also after the independence, up to 1970, the same situation continuing. And a major change occurred after 1969, when we adopted the social banking system and multi-agency approach to fulfill the needs of source of credit. Later, in 1982, NABARD was established. What is this NABARD? National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. This is NABARD. It's an apex body to coordinate the activities of all institutions involved in the rural financing system. Then, what is the structure of rural financing system? Here, what are the sources of credit in rural areas? Here, structure of rural banking. In that, mainly there are two sources we can find in rural financing. Here, first one is formal source of credit. In formal source of credit, commercial banks are giving loans in agriculture sector in rural areas, and regional rural banks also providing loan facilities for the rural people to the farming and non-farming activities. And here cooperative banks also giving credit to the rural people, and also SHGs means self-help groups also providing financial assistance for the rural people. And if you want to know about informal source of credit, there traders, local traders, they giving financial assistance for the rural people, and local money lenders giving loans, and also people can take loan from the relatives and the friends. Here in informal source of credit, interest rates will be more compared to the formal source of credit. And also there will be some malpractices in informal source of credit. That we can find some manipulation in accounts, doubling the loans immediately after the year. But if you want to take loans from the formal source of credit, then we have to provide proper documentations as a collateral securities. But some poor people, they may not have any collateral securities, they may not have their own houses or their own properties. This type of people, how they can take loan from this formal source of credit? Here, these commercial banks, regional rural banks and cooperatives, they will not provide loans without any collateral securities. To resolve this problem, those who don't have any collateral securities, they also can take loans from self-help groups. Now, what are these self-help groups? In these self-help groups, people with similar interests are coming together to form an organization to help each other. Here, in self-help groups, each member will contribute small amount to the self-help groups as a future savings, and credits will be given to the needy member of that self-help group, and interest rates also will be very less. So many poor people can take benefits of this self-help groups. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘಗಳನ್ನು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. ಬಡ ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಕುಟುಂಬಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುಪಾಲು ಜನರು ಈ ಔಪಚಾರಿಕ ಹಣಕಾಸು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಾದ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ವಾಣಿಜ್ಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳು, ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳು, ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳಿಂದ ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ಪಡೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅಸಮರ್ಥರಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಜಮೀನಿನ ಪತ್ರವೋ ಅಥವಾ ಮನೆ ಪತ್ರಗಳೋ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಂತ ಜಮೀನು ಅಥವಾ ಮನೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೇ ಇರುವಂಥ ಜನರು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಗತ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಪೂರೈಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗೆ ಪರಿಹಾರವನ್ನು ಒದಗಿಸುವ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘಗಳು ಹುಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡವು. ಈ ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಗುಂಪುಗಳು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸ್ತವೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಘದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಸದಸ್ಯನು ಸಣ್ಣ ವಂತಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಭವಿಷ್ಯತ್ತಿಗಾಗಿ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ ಅಥವಾ ಸಂಗ್ರಹಿಸಿದ ಹಣದಿಂದ ಉಳಿದ ಸದಸ್ಯರು, ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಉಳಿದ ಸದಸ್ಯರು ಇರ್ತಾರೋ ಸಂಘದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸುಲಭ ಕಂತುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾವತಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದಾದಂತಹ ಸಾಲ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯವನ್ನು ಒದಗಿಸಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದರ ಮೂಲಕ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಲ ಪಡೆಯುವುದರಿಂದ ವಂಚಿತರಾಗಿರುವ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. Here, these SHGs are providing loan facilities with easy installments, and these type of financing facilities are considered as microcredit programs. And also these self-help groups are having many advantages. It helps to the empowerment of women in rural areas, and also it empowers the poor people in rural areas by providing loan facilities for the production activities. It encourages the farming and non-farming activities in rural areas. And here we can find the credit expansion in rural areas. What are the impacts of this credit expansion in rural areas? How it is helpful in rural areas, and what are the demerits of this credit expansion in rural areas? Of course, here we can find some advantages, like this expansion of rural credit help in the improvement of agricultural sector, and also it helped in increasing the production of agriculture sector, and also some other non-farming activities also encouraged by this rural credit. Here we increased our agricultural production, and it helped to keep the buffer stock in Food Corporation of India, but also it's identified that there is something wrong in the banking system in India during that time. Here, where the banking systems are facing failure. Here, banking system is providing loans for the farmers, but there is a problem in the repayment of loans from the farmers, where our farmers is failing to repay the loans in time. And also we are finding increase in the number of farmers, those who are failure in the repayment of loans. After the banking sector reforms, there will be a major change in the functions of banks in rural areas. Here, previously banking sector was taking care about the providing loan facilities and collecting of loans from the farmers or from the people those who have taken loans. But nowadays, they have expanded their functions to provide information about the credits and to maintain proper relationship, and also this banking sector providing information about how efficiently these financial resources to be used. All this assistance will be given to the needy people in the rural areas. So this is about the rural credit. Next one is agricultural marketing system. ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವು ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸುವಂತಹ ತರಕಾರಿಗಳು, ಆಹಾರ ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳು ಅವು ಹೇಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ತವೆ, ಅವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ, ರೈತರಿಂದ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಬರುವಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ, ಅವು ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಿವಿಧ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದಂಥ ಬೆಳೆಗಳು ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯಿಂದ ಜನರಿಗೆ ತಲುಪುವಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ವಿವಿಧ ಸಾಧನಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಏನು? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್? ಹಿಯರ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಸ್ ದ ಅಸೆಂಬಲಿಂಗ್, ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್, ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸಿಂಗ್, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್, ಪ್ಯಾಕಿಂಗ್, ಗ್ರೇಡಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಕಮಾಡಿಟೀಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯು ದೇಶದಾದ್ಯಂತ ಕೃಷಿ ಉತ್ಪನ್ನಗಳನ್ನು ಒಟ್ಟುಗೂಡಿಸುವ, ಸಂಗ್ರಹಿಸುವ, ಸಂಸ್ಕರಿಸುವ ಹಾಗೂ ವರ್ಗೀಕರಿಸುವ, ಅದರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸಾಗಾಟದ ಮೂಲಕ ದೇಶದ ವಿವಿಧ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಿಗೆ ತಲುಪಿಸುವ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಯಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ there was no proper agricultural marketing system. Normally, farmers were selling their products to the local traders. Here, the local traders were not giving best prices to the agricultural products. Why? Because they always motivate their profits. And also, some farmers were taking loans from the local traders, and to repay the loans, there was some bondings in between the trader and the farmers, so that immediately after the harvesting, farmers has to sell their crop to the local traders with the lower prices. And also there will be some malpractices like faulty weighting scales and manipulation of accounts. And also farmers may not have proper information about the market prices. So many farmers facing losses during that time. So let us discuss about some measures implemented to improve the market system in agricultural sector. First one is regulating the market. To create orderly and transparent market systems, this regulation of market is initiated. ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆಯಾಗಿ ಈ ನೀತಿಯು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಗ್ರಾಹಕರಿಗೆ ಲಾಭವನ್ನು ತಂದುಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಸೌಕರ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಒದಗಿಸಿಕೊಡುವುದು. ಹಿಯರ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ರೋಡ್ಸ್, ರೈಲ್ವೇಸ್ and other transport facilities, godowns, cold storage, and food processing units. All this infrastructure development is required in the development of market systems. Third one is cooperative marketing. This cooperative marketing is helpful in providing fair price for the farmers' products. And fourth one is some policy instruments. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್? You might have heard about minimum support price. Government had declared minimum support price for onion. This minimum support price is the price fixed by the government from which the agricultural products purchased from the farmers. So government is giving assurance of minimum support price. And second one is maintenance of buffer stock by the Food Corporation of India. Mainly wheat and rice will be purchased from the farmers and stored in the government granaries by Food Corporation of India, is called as buffer stock. And third policy is distribution of food grains. Means by the public distribution system, government is distributing food grains like wheat, rice, sugar, and basic requirements will be given for the poor people, those who are unaffordable in the market. So with a lesser price, government is distributing these food grains for the poor people by public distribution system. ಈ ಒಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮೆಸರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಎರಡು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಕೂಲಗಳು. ಒಂದನೇದಾಗಿ ರೈತರಿಂದ ಸರ್ಕಾರವು ಆಹಾರ ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನು ದಾಸ್ತಾನು ಇಡುವುದರ ಮೂಲಕ ಬೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ತರಬಹುದು. ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನಿದೆ, ಆ ಒಂದು ನಿಗದಿತ ಬೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತರು ತಮ್ಮ ಆಹಾರ ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಎರಡನೇದಾಗಿ ಬಡ ಜನರು ಯಾರ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಲಭ್ಯ ಇರುವ ಬೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಆಹಾರ ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಂಥವರಿಗೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಪಡಿತರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಮುಖಾಂತರ, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಅಕ್ಕಿ, ಗೋಧಿ ಹಾಗೆ ಇತರ ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಸೀಮೆಎಣ್ಣೆ, ಸಕ್ಕರೆ ಇಂತಹ ಅವಶ್ಯಕ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ಬೆಲೆಗಿಂತ ಬಹಳ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡುವುದರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಬಡವರಿಗೂ ಹಾಗೂ ರೈತರಿಗೂ ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುವಂತೆ ಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಿದೆ. ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಒಂದು ಮಧ್ಯಸ್ಥಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅಧಿಕ ಲಾಭವನ್ನು ತಂದುಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬಡವರ ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಯಾಣಕ್ಕೆ ಕೂಡ ಹಲವಾರು ರೀತಿಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಿದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಅನೇಕ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇವೆ. These are all about agricultural marketing system. And next one is emergence of alternative marketing channels. Under this, many farmers, they directly selling their products in the market. By this way, they can increase their earnings. They can avoid the profit which goes to the mediators. Directly farmers are going to the market and selling their agricultural produces. For example, you might have seen in vegetable markets, many farmers are coming to sell their produces. By that way, they can earn more income. So these are about today, and next class we are continuing with diversification into productive activities, sustainable development and organic farming. Thank you.